anytime somebody says the words "my truth," it makes me want to just throw up, okay? Because I know what they mean. Basically, majority of people when they saying it is like, I want to live in delusion. I want to be able to do what I want to do, make bad decisions, not take accountability, but then I want to stamp the label of my truth so that you can't hold me accountable. You know, you can't say I did something wrong. You can't tell me about myself because it was my truth. It was my story. My feelings were validated because this is what happened to me and you wouldn't understand. So it's like they have pardoned themselves. They can't be held liable or responsible for anything because it was my truth. It was under the grounds and umbrella of my truth. So I'm just going to tell you my story, but let's move along. We don't have to stay here too long. I don't need you to ask me questions about why I made that decision. I'm just dropping that information in there, and then let's go to the next topic. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Beautiful, 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 man. This is coming from a sister. This is coming from a sister, man, because once again, we already know who we hear this saying from. We already know who loves to use this. Oh, this is my truth. This is my truth. And then you already know the other community, right? We already know the other community. They love to use this. Well, this is my truth. This is what I lived through. And I'm not talking about your conservatives. People love to use that to avoid accountability at all costs, man. At all costs. They love to use this to avoid accountability. And it's just like, once again, why? Why is it? What's the purpose of wanting to avoid accountability at all costs? So bad. It's gotten so bad, people. Listen, it's gotten so bad, man, that of course we had this little challenge or this little topic that can 100 men beat one gorilla, right? Well, they then turn the topic into a 100 women versus accountability, right? And once again, we already know who's going to win, accountability. But the fact that we have made society so bad and so soft and so sensitive to the point, man, where now we are trying to come up with ways so people can't even argue an opinion. People can't even argue an opinion. That is crazy, man. That is crazy. So this idea that my truth is my truth and can't nobody really argue that. I remember seeing this back on Fresh and Fit. I remember seeing this on Fresh and Fit where we had many women saying, well, this is my truth. Well, this is my truth. Just so you can't even argue it. Well, this is what I've experienced. So how can you tell me what's wrong? And it's like, man, once again, we already know 9 times out of 10, anytime they say that, there's a deeper story to it. The whole goes a little bit deeper, bro. The whole goes a bit deeper. The whole goes deeper. Right? And they don't want you to unpack that. They don't want to have to sit here and argue that. And how can we move forward as a society if we can't even argue opinions? So, but the crazy thing is the people who say stuff like this, the people who think like this, they want to be in high positions of power. They want to run a country. They want to run a state. They want to be a CEO of a company, but yet they want to sit here and go through life with delusion. Go through life with, hey, well, can't nobody really go against what I'm saying. That's ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous. But shout out to this lady, man. She breaks this down perfectly.
I think the hardest thing for our generation is actually knowing what truth is. Because everyone has their own truth, right? Your truth is different than my truth, and my truth can be different than your truth, and I'm not offended by your truth because it doesn't have to be my truth. Haha. And it really is leading us down a really bad path. I want to read y'all what Urban Dictionary, which Urban Dictionary is pretty hilarious sometimes. It's basically a dictionary that anybody can go write the definition, and the most popular one gets to the top, and that's deemed the definition. So this is what Urban Dictionary says about my truth. This is a definition. A non-negotiable personal opinion. This is a convenient phrase for avoiding arguments because people can contradict your opinion, but they can't contradict your truth. This phrase is often used when seeking to justify a controversial personal stance or action because you're not allowed to argue with someone's truth. And that's a scary way to live. When we are so entitled to our opinion that we change it to our truth so that no one can tell me that it's wrong. And it's actually very confusing whenever we don't have a standard for truth. Because if nothing is true, then now we're like, well, what even is love? And what even is confidence? And what even is freedom? Because it can all be relative and it can all change and it doesn't even matter whatever it is, because if I believe it, then it's just true. And it's really, really, really weird actually, because you could tell someone, hey girl, you have food in your teeth, and they could say, no, I don't. That is not my truth. That is actually not food. That is a speck. And then you're like, okay, but you still got food in your teeth, you know? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can argue that. Proverbs 12:5 says this, the fool is right in his own eye, but a wise man listens to advice. And I don't want us to be a generation of fools, thinking that we're right all the time, thinking that we can just do whatever we want, whenever we want, just because we want to do it. Even when it's not even best for our life or best for our world, and then we complain about where we're at, and then we're so confused, and it's all because we really just aren't willing to confront ourselves with the truth.
So, of course, as you can see what she said, man, I mean, listen, you got the Urban Dictionary, right? You got the Urban Dictionary, and this is what we are seeing today. A lot of people are messing up the meaning of a lot of words, right? Messing up the meaning of a lot of words. But, of course, they put here that, I mean, and that's the good thing. That's also the good thing about Urban Dictionary. Sometimes it's going to tell you what it's really about, right? And this right here is just telling you that, hey, man, listen, this saying that my truth versus the truth is just simply people trying to avoid accountability, right? And so, as she said, they coming in here, they changing words, they changing meaning of words, right? So they're going to go with the most popular meaning, right? Prime example, misogyny, right? Misogynist. That means the hatred of women. But yet somehow, some way, when a man just simply tells a woman, hey man, yeah, you might want to dress a little bit better, somehow, some way, you're a misogynist. You have women who sit here and look at all of our channels, and somehow, some way, they say, well, this is rooted in misogyny. How? Well, men are just simply saying, we just want to be treated fairly. We just want to be treated fairly. That's the reason why red pill exists in the first place. But no, now they've tried to turn it to a point where that, hey, well, nah, that's just, all that stuff is just male hating. How? How are we bitter? What are we going to be bitter about besides how bad the society is? And guess what? We're going to make some changes. Because the funny thing is, these are the same people who say, well, y'all aren't trying to do anything to make changes. So guess what? We make a podcast, and now what? So, hey, guess what? People say, okay, well, fine then. We're going to go ahead and start making podcasts. Now look at us, right? Now it's gotten to the point where now they're trying to say that somehow, some way, Red Pill and the Manosphere is a terrorist group. Like, what in the world are we talking? But once again, that's your people. Those are your people who have this type of mindset. Well, you know, they hurt me by saying that. Oh, well, you know, they're trying to police me. I don't like that. Grown adults, by the way, changing the meaning of words. They, right? They, them. We're trying to make that singular when it means multiple people. They are over there. But somehow, some way, this guy could be considered a they. It doesn't make any sense, but welcome to America, people. Welcome to America. But guys, look, y'all let me know down below, man. What do y'all think, man? Like I said, you have those people in that community, right, who like to sit here and say, well, hey, man, listen, this is my truth. This is my experience. Yo, listen, just because it's your truth, your experience does not make it right. But hey, like I said, man, do me a huge favor, leave me a like, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel.